Hi, I'm Matt Barry from ESPN. You're getting ready to watch one of the best college football podcasts ever. It's the Harris Highlight Show.
Na 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 na.
Coming to you live from the Bill Austin Radio Studio at the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism in beautiful downtown Phoenix. This is Season 4, Episode 9 of the Harris Highlight Show. Joining me this week is our college football expert, Josh Schaefer. Oh, Katie's pulling one of my moves. Our college football analyst, Lyle Goldstein, with our executive producer, Brady Klain, and I'm your host for the evening, Blake Harris. And I guess we're going to find out right now if I can hear you guys, so how is your guys' Tuesday night going?
It's going well, Blake, and he fist pumped. He can hear us.
I can hear.
Things are going well in the Bill Austin Radio Studio tonight.
Super duper.
I can hear you just fine.
I can barely hear you, Lyle.
Well, that's
Speak
weird
up.
because I
Be
can
a
hear
man.
you.
Okay, cool.
And shots have already been fired. So, as always, who knows what can happen live in studio. We were having some technical issues. We couldn't hear Brady's playback. I couldn't even hear the introduction at all, so I was just going based off his countdown. But who cares? I can hear all you guys. So I'm not sure if I'll be able to hear the sound effects that Brady will be able to use. So we'll have to wait and see moving forward.
Hey guys, thank you.
Tuesday night, as you guys can tell, I am rocking my Clippers jersey in support of the Los Angeles Clippers, who start their season tonight as they look to end their streak of, I think it's now 49
Every
seasons,
year.
or 50. This is their 50th season, and they still never made it to the Western Conference Finals. So yeah. I know Lyle gets, down on his Mariners not making the World Series in 41 years, or 42 years, but my Clippers haven't even been to the conference finals in 50 years, so we have you beat just by a tad, bud.
Well, you've still been in the playoffs.
Well, when you think about it, in basketball, 16 of the 30 teams make the playoffs, whereas baseball used to be, 8 out of 30? So the odds are a little easier to make the playoffs in basketball.
That's fair.
But hey, go M's, am I right?
No.
All right, but before we do, it's time to talk about our fantasy lineups from this past week. Now, unfortunately for myself, Josh handed me... Now, this matchup between Josh and I was absolutely fantastic this upcoming week. It was back and forth. Early in the morning, Josh was projected to win by 40 points. Then all of a sudden, I got ahead, and I was projected to win by 30 points. And then as the day turned into the night, Josh's team just put it into a new gear. He picked up the victory, and he is now solely in the lead of first place in our fantasy league. So congratulations, Josh. First place now officially belongs to you.
Thank you. Yeah, I feel pretty good. I got a little bit of a revenge game against Brady this week. The boys have been playing well ever since that loss to Blake early in the season. They've been playing well. The Pac-12 refs kind of messed up the game for us when we lost to BK by half a point. By half a point. So that was disappointing. But hey, while we're talking basketball, go. Oh, my mic's off.
It's back on.
Oh, okay.
Mine's off.
Oh, is that a sore winner over there, Brady?
I didn't touch your mic. I'm trying to figure out the routing problem here, why Blake can't hear anything. Because I played 3 sound bites and you couldn't hear anything.
Oh, that's true.
All of which were the Kawhi laugh.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
It's okay. While we're talking basketball, go Lakers.
Is that all you had to say? Just go Lakers?
Yeah, I don't... what else is relevant right now?
How about the fact that I got a win?
Lyle's team got a victory.
So Lyle is 1-7.
No.
He's 2-7.
2-6.
There we go.
2-6.
Wow.
And now I sit, in second place in our 10-man league, but I'll stick to this league where I might have been helped out by a Tua injury a little bit.
I was just going to say, Tua getting 3 points and exiting the game with an injury did help Lyle's his victory. Just a tad.
Oh, you know what? I'm going to take a win because on the standing, it says it's a win, and now I'm 1 game out of third place. So you never know what can happen in this league. Like I said, now I'll have 2 wins going into the playoffs before I win 2 in a row and win the whole thing.
Wow.
So Josh is 6-2. I'm 5-3. Brady is 3-5, and Lyle is now 2-6. But like we say every week, the standings essentially don't matter because I messed up, and the playoffs are just a 4-team playoff. It's not the top 2. So Lyle technically could have gone winless, but he still would have had a shot at the playoff. But hey, at least if you finish first, you get bragging rights. How about that? You get pride. Everyone likes pride, right? But speaking of pride, nothing more prideful than showing off for that special someone or just keeping yourself groomed, because this episode, as always, is brought to you by Manscaped.com. As I say every week, Josh, you can attest to this. Nothing more important than keeping yourself nice and clean for that special woman in your life. Manscaped.com is the number one helpfulness out there for men. They have so many products, some that I cannot read on here, the titles, but if you're interested in learning about this amazing product, go to Manscaped.com, and we're giving out some products as well, including the Perfect Package 2.0. Lots of fun stuff in there. If you're interested in winning the Perfect Package 2.0, which has a value of over $75, so you're essentially getting $75 worth of stuff for absolutely free, here's what you got to do. Go over to our Twitter at the @HHShow_. Give us a follow. We recently just hit 700 followers, guys. Way to go for us. Make sure to go to Twitter and follow Manscaped as well, where you're going to be giving away your perfect package sometime in November. We're going to be keeping you guys up to date with all that stuff, but around November, keep up to date with us. Maybe turn on our notifications, that way you don't miss the tweet as well. Do those two things, and you're going to be entered, and again, in November, we'll give something away, and that way you can give it to someone for Christmas, maybe your dad, maybe your brother, maybe you can keep it for yourself. Manscaped.com, it's the perfect package for your perfect package. Now, guys, it's time to transition finally into some college football talk. We're still, I think now it's officially 2 weeks away from the official college football playoff rankings, so only 2 weeks left to go with the AP poll. But nonetheless, let's talk about the AP poll. Now, some changes, nothing really too major. I guess something notable is that Clemson, they won again, but they now fall to 4 on the season. They got 9 first-place votes. Alabama's still at 1, LSU's at 2. Ohio State leapfrogs Clemson going to number 3, and the rest of it is essentially the same. No movement aside from Wisconsin, which we'll get to later in the show. Guys, I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago we talked about what our top 10 would be. Now, we're not necessarily going to give our top 10, but I do want to ask you guys, if this week, or tonight, I guess, was the first official college football playoff rankings, what would be your current top 4? Would it be the exact same as the AP poll, or would you guys have yours ranked just a little differently?
Mine would be the exact same as the AP poll.
Mine would be the exact same as the AP poll. I mean, there's not really a reason to move Clemson all the way out of the top 4 yet. If I had to, what would my own personal list be? If this makes sense, because Blake wrote on the doc this week, what would your top 4 be, but what should the top 4 be?
We'll go to what yours is, and then we'll move to what ours already should be.
So for now, it's the same 4, Chalk. They got it right.
See, now, if I was making this, I would have it, again, I'd have it differently, but I'd have the same 4, or actually a different 4. I'd have LSU at 1, I'd have Ohio State at 2, I'd have Oklahoma at 3, and I'd have Bama at 4, with Clemson right there at 5. Brady right now is fixing some stuff in the studio, so we're going to get to him in a few minutes, but that's okay. So that's what my top 4 would be. Now, guys, you just talked about what your 4 would be. What should the top 4 be? Should it be exactly how it is right here?
Yeah, I don't see any difference. I mean, I think that's right. I mean, Oklahoma's been solid. Penn State's been really good, but there's nothing for me to remove these 4 teams out.
Oh, I think I might have flipped these. Okay, so my own top 4.
It's kind of confusing. It's okay.
Okay, my own top 4, I would flip Oklahoma into the number 4 spot and just move Clemson out. But in terms of what the committee's voting for, I understand why you're not going to move Clemson out for being 7-0 to this point. But who do I think the best 4 teams are to this point? I think it's Bama, LSU, Ohio State, Oklahoma.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I like myself, I don't have Clemson in my top 4, but they're 7-0 on the season. They're defending national champions. I think they have it's 21 or a 22 game win streak. I think it's a 22 game win streak they have right now. So obviously, you can't really have them outside of the top 4. So I think right now the top 4 is exactly fine. Some stuff's going to play out. We're going to have to wait and see. But things are going to start getting interesting soon, guys, because Penn State, they picked up a great win over Michigan now. They've been a very impressive 7-0 team. Whenever we talk about these top 4s, they're always kind of the same with maybe then you change Oklahoma and Clemson. But Penn State never has made the top 4 in any of our rankings. They sure can now. So do you guys think it's officially time to start giving Penn State consideration for that 4th or even like maybe 3rd playoff spot? Because they have some convincing wins this season. I still feel like they're being slept on just a tad.
They do, but who do you put them over?
Well, that's the thing. maybe
exactly
Clemson, where again, if you just compare the two resumes from the season, maybe you give the edge from Penn State over Clemson just a tad, which is you could make the case, but it's kind of tough to really do that.
Sure, but my knock on Penn State is they don't really score a whole ton of points. I mean, let's throw those first two games out where they played Idaho and Buffalo, and okay, so to be fair, they put up 59 on Maryland, but against some of the really top quality teams they've played, they put up 17 on Iowa. Yes, their defense is good. They only put up 17 on Pitt. They put up under 30 on Michigan, and again, Michigan's a good defense. But having said that, when you look at the other teams ahead of them who are just exploding offensively, it's really hard to kind of put those guys over the top. And even though they play Minnesota, they'll probably get a win there. I think what's going to do it for them is they're going to have to beat Ohio State. But unless they do that, I don't really see them squeaking their way into the top four unless they get that win or unless some of these other teams start to fall.
Exactly. I don't think you can put them over anybody, and that kind of includes the whole top 10 at this point, which I don't know if it's hypocritical that we've continued to say things about Clemson, but in the past we've even said, why should a team drop if either A, they don't play, and they're still if they're a top 4 team and they don't play, why should they drop? And also, if they continue to win, why should they drop? I just think the reason why we've seen Clemson continue to drop and this podcast has continued to be okay with it is because the 3 teams currently ahead of Clemson have been that good. But I think it should be noted that still for teams really 1 through 8 and maybe 10, and then Wisconsin, there are teams that are outside the top 10 right now, mostly Wisconsin, but we'll get there, that I think are better than some top 10 teams right now, but you just can't move anybody around because for the most part, you've got 1 through 6 who haven't lost a game yet, and then Florida, Notre Dame, Georgia, and Wisconsin are all in contention still, with 1 loss, but obviously we'll get to that later.
It's going to be interesting to see because Penn State, the only game on their schedule coming up that's going to be tough. Now, they do have a nice tough task on the road at Minnesota in a few weeks. Lyle, number 17, Minnesota. They just getting higher and higher, so it's going to come down to that Ohio State game at Ohio State.
An undefeated team in the Big Ten is not in the top 15.
Wow. How do you like that? So it's going to be interesting to see, especially if, let's say, Penn State, their lone loss of the season is at Ohio State. Where do they possibly fall in the playoff rankings? Or if Ohio State, their lone loss of the season comes to Penn State. Some interesting things going on there. Before we move outside the AP ball, Josh kind of just mentioned it a little. Outside of the top 6, which is the 6 teams that are currently undefeated, not including Baylor at 14, SMU, Minnesota, which team currently outside the top 6 that has a loss do you think has the best chance to slip into the top 4 for the final playoff rankings?
I want to say Notre Dame, but I still think no. Just because of their schedule upcoming and then maybe their schedule up to this point, especially with 1 loss without a conference. I think it'll be tough for Notre Dame. Still not sold on Florida, not sold on Auburn. But honestly, the teams, especially outside the top 10, even that I think are still better than a lot of the teams where they're currently ranked, I still think at 6-1, Georgia's competitive, and I think at 6-1, Wisconsin's competitive. So 2 teams out of the top 6 that I think can still push for a top 4 spot are 2 teams not even in the top 10 in Georgia and Wisconsin. But also look at their schedule upcoming. There's a lot that can change.
And mine was Georgia. I mean, they play Florida, they win that game, they win at Auburn, and then they win the SEC title game. Hypothetically, there's no way you keep them out in that scenario. So I say Georgia.
Yeah, I mean, looking at this right now, I think Georgia definitely has the best chance. Notre Dame, they're going to have a lot of things go their way. Now, they do still have a game against Michigan. It's not going to help them as much if Michigan would have beaten Penn State this week, which would have been great for me. So I think Notre Dame has a chance. Of course, Florida still has a chance as well, but I think, as you guys alluded to, Georgia probably has the best chance because they have a pretty solid chance, I say, to make it to the SEC championship game, which they can get a win in that game. I think they're going to be pretty set moving forward, but it's time to escape the AP poll right now, and we're going to move into some game recaps from this past week. And the most notable one, oh boy, I don't know how this happened. This is one of the biggest upsets of the last couple decades, I want to say. Coming to the game, now I've seen kind of a few different numbers on this. I'm not sure what the exact final number was, but Wisconsin was a 31.5 point favorite against Illinois. Illinois somehow, someway gets the win on a game-winning field goal. Wisconsin, as per usual, I have an amazing hot take that now looks awful. I said last week that Wisconsin was going to be in the playoff after going undefeated. Well, maybe this is like Oregon. They can still make the playoff. They just won't go undefeated. So Wisconsin, what a loss. No one saw this coming. I think in their 6 games prior to this, I think it was like Wisconsin allowed a total of like 28 points, whereas in this game they allowed like just 24 points to Illinois. So an absolute shocker. So I guess the first point is, what in the world happened? How does a team lose to Illinois, which is essentially like the Oregon State of the Pac-12, a bottom feeder essentially? And also, does Wisconsin have any hope? Do they have any chance, or is their season officially a wash?
Look, I got to be honest. This is really disappointing, and I'm really upset about it. And the reason I'm upset about it, for kind of a random game to be upset about, especially for me as just one of the co-hosts of the show, there's no reason for me to be upset over it other than the fact that I was, after the 3 seasons we've done on the Harris Highlight Show, I finally bought in on Wisconsin. I finally bought in on them. Last year I bought in on them because of the offensive line, and it just didn't work out. And this year I was all in. You know, they had a quarterback. I like the coaching staff. The defense was phenomenal. The offense is putting up a lot of points. And then they lose to Illinois on the road. The only thing that could have made this game worse is if it was in Madison. I don't really know what went wrong. I think they got careless on offense. I think they had a few lapses on defense. But bottom line, no, I don't think their season is over, even despite the brutal loss. Look, I mean, you've got Penn State, you've got Ohio State, you have a one-loss Wisconsin team now, and you even have a Michigan team that put up a fight against Penn State despite being down 21-0. And I still think that Michigan's going to be competitive throughout the rest of Big Ten play. The Big Ten is currently on the brink of turning into the Pac-12 and just succumbing to absolute chaos at this point. and it's a possibility. And even if you look forward at Wisconsin's schedule, what if they beat Ohio State on the road this week? Suddenly they're right back into the thick of things.
Then there's real chaos.
Exactly. There's real chaos. First of all, if Wisconsin beats Ohio State this week, nobody's going to move Ohio State anywhere in the rankings. They'll go down a few spots, but it's going to be nothing drastic. And all of a sudden, Wisconsin's back, despite the one hiccup. They've got number 20 Iowa, Nebraska, Purdue, and then they end the season with Minnesota, who's currently undefeated. So I don't think their season's over. A lot could happen, but this is also a team that I could see not going to the playoff, but finishing second in the Big Ten and then playing in the Rose Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they're done by any standards. I think, like you just said, if they beat all these ranked teams and they find a way to win the Big Ten, they're going to be just fine. The problem is now this one loss on their schedule really, really does not look too pretty, and especially against the team that held their Illinois quarterback Brandon Peters to just 9 completions. I mean, the rushing game as a whole was just over 140 yards. Jonathan Taylor almost put that up on his own. It was just Illinois. They let Illinois score 10 points in the fourth quarter. Sure, they let the Illini hang around for a little while, but when you get to the fourth quarter, even the second half of a game in general, that's usually around the time where the better team, even on the road, just takes charge and puts it away if the game's close in the first half. Wisconsin didn't do that. They couldn't score a touchdown in the fourth quarter. They had 1 touchdown in the second half, and they really just didn't generate enough offense. So, sure, they can rebound from this, but this really, really does not look pretty.
All right, we're going to see if Brady can go in the studio. I guess there were some audio problems, but he's back.
Yeah, all the routing stuff on my end was weird. You guys couldn't hear my sound effects. I think just Josh could hear them, and I could hear it in here, and then the speaker stopped working. So everything sort of went haywire, but all is well here in Blaze Radio Land.
Well, that's okay.
Yeah.
Welcome
good.
Back.
Thanks, man. We on the Wisconsin topic right now?
We are.
You know, I didn't get to watch much of this game. I just saw what would have been the last 6 or 7 minutes of the fourth quarter. In a situation like Wisconsin was put in, how close they were, why do you not give the ball 90% of your plays, and my fantasy player, to the arguably best running back in the country? The guy that you know is going to get you 4 yards every single down. And it's just going to work and work and work and work and work and get you 4 yards every down. You know what 4 yards every down gets you eventually?
A first down.
A first down. You know what a first down will get you eventually?
A win.
A win. A touchdown. Just hand the ball off. Throw him a slip screen. He was running well. Why didn't they do that towards the end of the fourth quarter?
Yeah, I'm trying to load up the box score right now, but I remember because they threw an interception, which pretty much turned the ball over back to Illinois. But I mean, they started doing that. They started giving the ball to Jonathan Taylor, but then on 3rd and 3, they decided to pass it, which they did end up getting the first down. And then on 2nd and 11, they did another pass. Then on 3rd and 5, an interception. So in a situation like that, essentially just running down the clock, you get a first down, you win the game. Instead, they opt to pass it. Illinois, they come down the field, they're able to get some yards and get the game-winning field goal. But I still think Wisconsin, they're still technically in it. They're going to have a lot of things go their way. They're going to have to finish the season going undefeated at top of winning the Big Ten title game, which I said they would do anyway last week. So essentially, I'm sticking on this as well. But yeah, they got to beat Ohio State this week, which Lyle was saying now. It's a drag to this matchup's not as juicy as it was. It's still going to be 3 versus 13, but Wisconsin was ranked 6th last week. They probably would have stayed there, so it would have been a 3-6 matchup. That would have been a much better matchup, but they still do have a game at Ohio State, a game versus number 20 Iowa, and then they close their season at Minnesota, who's currently undefeated. So they still have a lot of games that can go their way. They're just going to need some help from the outside world, but still, what a loss by Wisconsin. A 31.5-point favorite. To put into perspective how bad that loss is, Appalachian State was a 33-point underdog against Michigan. What was that, 13 years ago, 12 years ago? So this is a pretty big upset, guys. Now, we're going to move on to the next topic. Not necessarily the game, but that is Alabama. Now, Alabama does get the win over Tennessee, but they lost Tua, as we mentioned earlier in the show, hence why Lyle was able to pick up the victory over BK this week. Tua's going to be out for a few weeks. Now, I know this is a question we didn't think we'd be asking ourselves, guys, at this point of the season, but is there a chance that Alabama could be in trouble? Because they did say he's definitely going to miss this week. I think they said the timetable might be a couple weeks. They do play LSU on the 9th. Now, luckily for Alabama, they have a bye week after this game this week, so they're not playing LSU for another 2.5 weeks. I'm just praying that Tua is available for that game because we need to see a healthy Tua, but let's just say for sake that Tua's not, like this I think it was an ankle injury, it's a little serious. Can Alabama possibly be in trouble?
No, I think that obviously the team's going to fall off a little bit in Tua's absence, especially the offense. But listen, you've got guys like Jerry Jeudy, Henry Ruggs, Devontae Smith, Najee Harris. Waddle has been kind of phased out at this point. I think they're all going to take a bit of a hit, but this Alabama team is still going to score points. And it's supposed to be, it's what? Mac Jones now? It's not Tua's brother, right? Yeah.
He's listed as the third.
He's the number 3.
Yeah.
So it's Mac Jones now. He's an Alabama quarterback. He's got these weapons around him. I'm not worried about Alabama not putting up points. And I mean, maybe against LSU, if Tua doesn't play next week, that could be an issue. But right now, I think they're okay.
I'm even more laid back about it than that. They've got one game against Arkansas. They're going to win, whether it be by 13 or by 35. They're going to win. They get a bye week. Let's be real. Tua's not sitting out of that LSU game. He didn't break his ankle. He's going to tough it out, and he's going to play.
You know, you don't wish injury upon anybody, but this is the best worst case scenario you could ask for Tua is he misses one game and then you get the bye week, so that bye week falls in just the perfect spot for them to then prepare back for LSU. I'm going to be stuck with a different fantasy quarterback for this week. Who knows who it will be?
Mac Jones.
Pick up Mac Jones
now, or
they're playing Arkansas, so that means he should be good for 3 to 4 touchdowns.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if we're going to be honest, with a guy like Najee Harris carrying the football, I think they're probably going to rely a lot more on the run, especially again. I mean, it's Arkansas though, so who really knows? I think it's going to be a blowout, but I wouldn't be surprised if they try to commit to the run early.
Tua's brother is now listed as a number 2.
So I would hope so.
He was the number 3. Yeah.
Yeah, usually that tends to happen when the number 1 gets injured.
I said number 3 now.
Oh.
I thought he was lower before.
I thought you meant he was the number 3 before.
No.
Okay, yeah.
So, yeah, he's now the backup. But, yeah, Alabama, they're going to be fine. They get 2 bye weeks because, let's face it, they're going to just steamroll over Arkansas, whatever that may be. So, they're going to be fine. But, yeah, hopefully, again, this ankle injury is not too bad because we need Tua healthy for the matchup, which is likely looking now, assuming LSU doesn't blow it this week against Auburn. It's going to be a 1-2 matchup, which is going to be fantastic. Moving on now, unfortunately, I will still not put it to rest, Lyle. I will never put this to rest. Michigan, they did lose to Penn State, hurting their chances at making the college football playoff and now making the Big Ten championship. But, hey, a lot can still happen. Ohio State, they can lose every game the rest of the way, and so could every other team in the Big Ten. They lose. Again, Penn State picks up the victory. Were you guys more impressed by Penn State in this game because they jumped out early, allowed Michigan to come back? Or were you guys just, yet again, disappointed by Michigan? And at what point, we say this every time, I probably have to, wait this out for the rest of the season, but Jim Harbaugh, yet again, I think he's now officially winless on the road versus, ranked teams. He just can never get the job done. Shea Patterson was I mean, no touchdowns, 1 interception. He did have a rushing touchdown, so there is that, but he just didn't look as good as he should have. And again, it's hard to win at Penn State for a while, but this was the game that Michigan could have won to really solidify themselves as that team that everyone thinks. They couldn't do it.
Okay, so you gave 2 options when you first started, and you said, were you impressed by Penn State, number 1, or were you disappointed by Michigan? And honestly, I was both of those things in the first half. 21-0 Penn State to start the game, and you know what? Michigan came back. So aside from the fact that as a whole I'm impressed with Penn State, I'm not disappointed to see them kind of blow the lead and fall apart a little. I don't think that was it at all. I think maybe they just took the foot off the gas a little bit and gave Michigan an opportunity to come back, and they did. Basically, all I think about this one is that Michigan is not going to win anything in conference. They're not going to the college football playoff. And I'm afraid that they're going to continue to compete with all these teams, and they're just not going to win football games. And you know what? That's the problem, because it doesn't matter if you're a good football team. They could have the best recruiting class in the country. They could have the best defense in the country. They could have the most elite quarterback in the country. But bottom line, if you're not winning I'm not implying that Shea Patterson is most. I just want to clear that up. But bottom line is they're not winning games. They're not winning the key games. So you can play as well as you want. You can compete with whoever you want. You could lose by a touchdown to Penn State. Let's say they lost by a touchdown to Wisconsin. They lose by 3 to Ohio State. It doesn't matter. Those are 3 losses. And on their schedule, it's going to show up as 3 losses. So I think they're going to compete with everyone. I don't think they're going to win anything in the Big Ten this year.
Well, I'll tell you what. They had a chance to tie it and win that game, but there was that dropped ball in the end zone. There was no deflected pass. There was nothing. It was just the receiver dropped the ball. So we could be sitting here having a totally different conversation. But, I mean, in terms of just the 2 teams as a whole, I'm kind of like how Josh is. I think Penn State's offense needs to get a little bit better. If they want to compete with a team like Ohio State, they're just going to have to put up more points and more efficiently than they did. But yeah, for Michigan, it's the same thing. They always have a good defense. They just don't have enough on offense to compete with some of these top teams.
I think Penn State's offense now is very one-dimensional. It all revolves around KJ Hamler. And you just tell he's their go-to guy. He's the guy when in a dire situation, you're going to put him in the backfield. You're going to bring him in motion. You're going to hand the ball off to him on a jet sweep, and you're going to pass the ball to him when you need that first down, that whatever you need. So if an opposing team is able to lock down KJ, Penn State becomes a more vulnerable team at that point.
And Clifford had 4 touchdowns this week, didn't he?
I think so.
Yeah,
He had 3.
He had 3.
He had 1 on the ground, so yeah, 4.
So he had 4. I think they're a
touchdowns.
good team, and I think it does speak volumes for Michigan.
I'm not saying they're not. I'm just saying their offense is very
They
one-dimensional.
got to run the ball a little bit better.
Yeah, I understand. They do. I do think they need to run the ball a little bit better, especially considering how well they've run the ball in recent years. I think you're right, but as a whole, I'm not. I don't know. I'm not disappointed by Penn State in this game, really, in the slightest.
So yeah, Michigan. Yeah. Well,
Sorry, Blake.
hey, there's still hope. There is still hope.
Full disclosure, I'm pretty sure I had them in the playoff too,
Yeah,
or I at
okay.
least had them winning the Big Ten.
That's okay. Speaking of playoffs, Oregon.
Nope, stop.
They beat Washington this past week. Now Washington, they came in ranked 25th. We all thought they're definitely better than that ranking says. They've just had some things go the wrong way. Oregon, they pick up the victory. So guys, they're still undefeated since they lost to Bo Nix, but they're ranked 11. They're running the table in the Pac-12 likely. Do you guys think there's still any chance if Oregon could win out and have a few things go their way above the rankings, they can still represent the Pac-12 in the playoff?
All right, well, let's see what I wrote in my notes.
Right,
I wrote in all caps, no Blake, Oregon does not have any chance at making the college football playoff. No.
Hey, I can hear the sound effects now. Fantastic.
Finally, I fixed it. Cool.
Yeah. Not even a chance.
There would have to be more chaos than we've ever seen since doing this show for that to happen. I mean, look, Oregon's a good team, but to get all the way to the top 4 with some of these other guys still undefeated, you got 2 SEC teams up there, you got a Clemson team up there that probably won't lose. I think there's just too much I think there's too much. I think it's going to be too tough for Oregon.
Unless a San Andreas-like earthquake hits somewhere along the East Coast,
Nope.
0 chance.
San Andreas fault is in California too.
Yeah, that's why I said along the East Coast.
I know. I'm just pointing that out. That's saying how unlikely it is that it's going to happen.
Well, I still believe in my Oregon Ducks now.
Who's my
Oregon Ducks now.
Okay.
Earlier on Twitter, this is going back another segment, but I said who do you think can make the playoff that's currently not in the top 6? Now, good old Donnie T, who's always in our mentions, that has a lot of things to say. We're going to get to some of his later in the show. Now, he says, if I were a betting man, I'd say Lyle has a better chance of getting a girlfriend before he's 53 and on eHarmony than a current non-top 6 team making the playoff.
Good Lord.
Wow, Donnie T.
So he calls out Brady for not having a girlfriend. He calls out me for not having a girlfriend.
Am I next?
Oh, no, we're going to get to one later in the show for the Q&A that's absolutely fantastic that I'm saving for this. I already gave Lyle a sneak peek. I want you guys to stay clear of our Twitter because what he said in the Q&A is so good. I want you guys to hear it later in the show.
When am I going to get roasted?
But Donnie T...
Which one of our friends' account is this?
So
Yeah.
Donnie T is just coming for hands every time. And
it's been Blake the whole time. For the last 2 years, he's just been
Yes.
kickstarting the Q&As himself.
that is absolutely
Blake
right now.
is actually Richard Nixon.
Dude, whatever happened to Richard Nixon, man? I miss him. I miss Richard Nixon.
Not
For those
the
who-
president.
Well,
Not the president.
Yeah, well...
He
did the,
wept
what was
and
it? It
then
was-
got on the helicopter and flew away. That's what happened to Richard Nixon.
Blake, I think you need to watch All the President's Men.
We'll pass. We'll pass. Guys, this is a game that would have been the absolute upset of the year, and it almost happened. Somehow, someway, the Texas Longhorns defeated the Kansas Jayhawks by 2 at home thanks to a game-winning field goal by Dicker the kicker. Kansas took the lead with about a minute and a half left. They get the 2-point conversion to go up 1, but in the back of my head, I'm thinking, Kansas is still going to blow this somehow. Texas is still going to come out on top. Unfortunately, for everyone in the country's sake, Kansas did not get the win, so... guys, we don't really have to go too in depth on this, but what?
Hey,
how?
Do you guys remember when Sam Ellinger said, and I quote, "We're back," end quote? No. I mean, they're fine. If the quote was, quote, "We're fine," end quote, I would have 100% agreed. But Texas is so far from back. I mean, they just... While Lincoln Riley is the head coach of the Oklahoma Sooners, Texas will not be back. The fact that Texas being back has nothing to do with Texas is not good. Oklahoma runs the football monopoly in the Big 12 right now, and until then, Texas will not be back. They can be good, they can be competitive all they want. They're not going to win anything, and especially they're really not going to win anything if they're not going to blow out teams like Kansas. I think Kansas is better than they have been in the past, but no, Texas is not back.
I think they'll still win 10 games. So, I mean, do you qualify that as back, winning 10
Not
games?
Texas back.
Okay. So, I think they'll still be a prominent football team, but maybe not at that elite level. Although for Kansas, I mean, we talked about early in the season, maybe they could change a little bit of the tone in the Big 12 here by playing defense because they had a couple of good games defensively. That was not the case this past Saturday. However, they put up 48 points, and Puka Williams went for just short of 200 yards. So they were going punch for punch with a Texas team. There was 50 points scored in the fourth quarter combined between these guys. I mean, yeah, I don't know how this game stayed close for more than a quarter and a half, but it did.
I just wanted to mention the over-under in this game was 62, and there was a total of 50 points scored in that final quarter. Kansas, I mean, they're 2-5 right now. They easily could be 4-3. They lost to, Coastal Carolina by 5 points early on in the season, and then they lost to West Virginia by 5. Let's just say that some of these things go their way. You know what? Actually, they could be 5-2. If they get this win, if they get that win at West Virginia and they get that win against Coastal Carolina, Kansas is 5-2, and they're on the outskirts of the top 25, and all is just going bizarre in the college football playoff world. Who knows? But yeah, Kansas, I don't know how they stuck around, but props to them. Seeing Kansas somewhat competitive is such a great thing to see because for most of our lives they haven't been, aside from that one season in 2007 when they
had that game at Arrowhead against Missouri, and both teams were good.
What a time to be alive. But Sam Ehlinger, I mean, his Heisman campaign is still alive. 400 yards, 4 touchdowns. He had 90 yards on the ground. But this was just an overall, an outstanding game from Kansas. So props to them. One more thing to quickly touch up on in regards to the recaps. Boise State lost this week, guys. They lost to BYU, officially now bringing chaos among the groups of non-Power 5 schools. So, guys, I think we were talking about it in the show last week, maybe the week before, how Boise State is all of our pick to go represent the non-Power 5 schools in the New Year's Six Bowls. Is it still Boise State for you guys? Are you still going to go with Boise State? Or now with this loss, is there maybe another team you're kind of leaning towards where now you're kind of 100% on Boise State, but now you might be like 80% on Boise State?
I really have to sneeze, so I'm going to make this fast.
I thought I was just asking a really good question that was making you think.
No.
Bless you.
It's gone.
Bless you.
No, it's Boise State for me. You know, one loss isn't going to convince me that Boise State isn't the best Group of 5 team. Also, they lost by 3 points to a BYU team that has proven that they can be competitive. They can proven that they can play well against much faster opponents like Boise State and USC. And you know what? BYU's not bad despite getting blown out by Washington. But Hank Bachmeier's out for Boise State, and the Broncos only lost by 3. I'm not concerned. We've all said that we thought they were going to go undefeated. It's disappointing that they won't go undefeated. I think they're still the best Group of 5 team out there, and I still think that they deserve to potentially compete in a Year 6 bowl game.
Yeah, and I'd say the same thing. They almost came back and beat a BYU team with their backup quarterback. Bachmeier's out for right now. Boise State drops 8 spots as a result. I don't really like that. I still think they're a lot better than that. I'd call them one of the 17 to 18 best teams in college football. But I still think they run the table, win the rest of their games, and end 11-1 and represent Boise State in the New Year's Six.
I know that App State has been good, but someone needs to try to convince me that Boise State is not as good as App State. And App State's ranked 21. You just wouldn't be able to.
I mean, it's tough, too. I mean, Boise State's competition's just, a tad bit better than what App State's do, and I think Boise State still runs the table. I mean, SMU, they're now 7-0. They potentially can make a case. We'll have to wait and see. I think that might be Boise State's best chance, or I guess their biggest competition, because, again, App State, their schedule definitely favors them, but I think App State still has a chance to go undefeated the rest of the way. I mean, I'm looking at their schedule right now just to see what the remaining 6 games are. And, yeah, they do have a game at South Carolina. That's going to be their toughest test. But if they can somehow get past South Carolina, this App State team is going to go undefeated because they got South Alabama, Georgia Southern, Georgia State, Texas State, and Troy on their schedule. So if they can get past South Carolina, they're going to go undefeated, and they're probably likely going to be the representative in the New Year's Six, which, I mean, props to them for doing it this far. I mean, they've had a very good season so far. Aside from their win against Louisiana, all of their wins have essentially been blowouts with the exception of their game-winning field goal block at North Carolina. They've been a very dominant team this year, so shout out to App State if they can get the job done. I'll still be fine with that, but I agree with you guys. I think Boise State's the best team.
Yeah.
All right, well, now it's time to move on to our updated Heisman rankings. Not sure how much they changed this week. Now, they might have changed, though, with Tua's impact. I think Lyle mentioned this, if this officially takes Tua out of the running since he's going to miss a game. Maybe Tua, we'll have to wait and see. But, guys, we'll find out right now. What is your updated top 5 for the Heisman?
For now, just because we're not super sure what's going on with Tua, I don't even have him in my top 5 right now. Just for now.
Wow.
Just for now.
Hot take. That's okay.
Just for now. Jalen Hurts, Joe Burrow, Justin Fields, Jonathan Taylor. And at number 5, I decided to go, I don't know if it's a hot take, but I'm going to slide in a wild card for now. I'm sliding in Jerry Jeudy. Just figured, hey, you know what? Let's keep it in Tuscaloosa. All right?
Okay.
I like that.
And he's the only wide receiver, so
It's one of the things to see how well he can play with the absence of his quarterback.
let's see it.
Yeah.
I mean, we're entering week 9 of college football here, and I think we're getting to that time where you got to start narrowing down this Heisman race. So I've got 3. Mine just go Hurts, Burrow, Fields. Tua's going to miss probably he's going to miss 1 game. He's already had a game where he missed most of the contest, so I think missing a couple games is going to take him out. And aside from that, I don't really take any of the running backs that seriously. No disrespect to Jonathan Taylor, but it's those 3 for me.
I've got Burrow, Hurts. I'm going to go 5. Burrow, Hurts, Fields. I'm going to put Taylor at 4 and then Tua at 5.
So you got Burrow at 1 now.
I do.
Nice. So I see he moved up from 5 last week up to your number 1 rankings. Fantastic. Because I think all right, Josh, I already forgot. Who do you have at 1?
Hurts.
And Lyle, you have
Hurts.
Burrow? Or you have
No, I
Hurts?
have Hurts and then Burrow.
Oh, that's right.
That's what I have.
I have
See-
Hurts at 2.
See, I agree with Brady. I'm going to go with Burrow at 1. I do have Hurts at 2. I think at this point, it's literally, if I had to give the percentage, I'd say 55% to Burrow with the 45% going to Hurts. I think it's just Burrow has more impressive wins. Jalen Hurts, numbers-wise, has been far more impressive, probably the most impressive quarterback. But you do have to look into account who they've played. LSU's played some better opponents. They're going to have another great opponent this week against number 9 Auburn. So I do give the edge. So I go Burrow, Hurts, Fields. I'm going to put Tua at 4, and then Jonathan Taylor at 5. I think for Tua, he's going to have a big game against LSU. I think whoever wins that LSU-Alabama game is going to be the new number 1, depending on how it goes. Now, if Tua comes out, Alabama wins, but Tua throws for 150 yards and a touchdown, we'll have to wait and see. But I think whoever gets the win in that game might have the edge.
What if Tua doesn't play, but Bama wins? Hypothetically.
That's when things get really interesting. We'll have to wait
You
and
just
see.
keep it at Hurts, or
I think I'd move up Hurts.
Okay.
I think. Then again, if LSU loses, but Burrow comes out and throws 500 yards, 4 touchdowns, and they lose 49-45. So that game is going to determine a lot of things in regards to rankings, Heisman talks, and a whole bunch of other stuff. But guys, now I know last week we didn't have a Q&A. I did put this in our notes. We're kind of running a little low on time, and it seems like every week this gets pushed back. Eventually we're going to get to this segment, but I know this segment will probably take 10 to 15 minutes, which is time we don't have, where we talk about the top 10 to 12 teams and what needs to happen for them to make the playoff. That's okay. We're going to move straight into the Q&A. Have a few extra questions this week because, as I mentioned, we didn't have a Q&A last week. Don't worry, Brady, no callers this week. No callers this week, so you can just hang, relax in there with our one intern this week. No 2 interns, unfortunately. The other one, well, I don't know what's going on there. So, guys, we're going to head now to our YouTube questions first, and this comes from Gator King. This is a fun one. Which college football stadium would be the best to host the national championship?
it has to be a college team?
Has to be a college football stadium.
Natty Stadium.
Oh, boy.
Michigan.
Yeah, that would hold the most people, so that'd be pretty cool.
I think it'd be cool because it's all one level, too.
Yeah, that's also true. I mean,
that or the Rose Bowl. Rose Bowl has.
I was gonna say,
so
yeah.
aside from a place that's already done it, then.
Hard Rock, which has.
I still think Penn State would be really cool. I'm gonna go with Penn State.
So when you look at this, you got to look at the stadium and also the area around it.
Yeah.
So, like, all right, what's going to be going on and what's in the area? Michigan would be awesome. There's nothing around Ann Arbor. It'd be tough to get to. Think about it like that. Miami would be an obvious choice, obviously.
Detroit's not far.
No, but still. I don't know. What would be a cool one to see? I think Penn State would be really cool, size-wise.
Wait, but what's near Penn State?
That's why I'd say what would be cool. I just got rid of the everything else category. Miami would be really cool. Have it in Florida. Or also, what about, like, UW? Just throw it in Seattle.
Dude, forget Seattle. Put it in Pullman.
Isn't Miami hosting the national championship this year?
They're hosting the Super Bowl.
Oh, the Super
Not
Bowl.
national
That's right.
championship, yeah.
That's right.
Which is kind of weird.
Miami.
They really...
championship.
Yeah, how was it, Lyle?
It's fantastic.
I think the score was 42-14.
But haven't they really lowered the capacity of that stadium? It's
like
65
small.
now. It's 65.
It's something really tiny.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it used to be way more.
College football stadium, Boise State.
Yes.
Just put it in Boise.
Yep.
Put it in Boise. Have
In
it
the
be-
winter.
Yes. I think it'd be really cool to have it at one of those blue blood stadiums, like if you have it in Michigan, Penn State. I think having it at the Coliseum would be cool. Nothing tops a national championship at the Rose Bowl. That's always a fun time, but that's not a college football stadium because you have to have more than 20,000 fans attending a game in order for it to count as a college football stadium.
Can't wait to see that this week.
I think one of those would be a cool one. Maybe Bama also, or like Tennessee, one of those SC ones. I really wish they did that, though, guys, where they would have the national championship or have some of these bowl games there, because I really hate having all these big-time bowl games at NFL stadiums. I get because you can seat more people, but how cool would it be to have, like, I'm just going to say, like, the Orange Bowl, if that's, like, a Clemson Death Valley, if that's one of the bowl games. I think that'd be so cool, as opposed to just having it at Hard Rock Stadium.
Well, I feel like if Miami plays there and it's in the citrus state, I feel like that's fine. But, yeah, I mean... For the most part, though, college stadiums, like all of the biggest stadiums in the country just in general are college football stadiums and not NFL stadiums, typically. So I think that they should continue to be held at college football stadiums.
Why isn't the Orange Bowl held at the Carrier Dome?
That's a great question.
Do you want to
Yeah.
go to the Harvard of New York for a New Year's Six Bowl, Brady?
Exactly.
Lyle, just take the joke. Just
Nope.
take the joke.
Nope.
I don't. Yeah, that place. You're right. That is the new LA Stadium of New York, I should say.
The new LA stadium?
Yeah, it's so nice. No, I'm
Oh,
kidding.
Right. The Carrier Dome.
Yeah.
This next question comes from Dylan Barnwell. Should the NCAA incorporate a conference battle like in college basketball, where 1 week every season, a team from one conference plays teams from other conferences, like, for example, a Big Ten ACC challenge, an SEC Big 12 challenge? I know every conference has a different number of teams, but the extra amounts could have a bye week or something like that. So, like how we do in college basketball, we have that. So, let's just say, like, week 2, it's Pac-12 versus SEC, where every Pac-12 team is matched up with an SEC team, and I guess the extra SEC teams, they can play, Chattanooga or something.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of like that. It's also worth considering that that's kind of what they do during bowl season, though. when you have your certain buy-ins for certain games, like winner of the Pac-12 and the Big Ten play in the Rose Bowl, but like second place or like third place of those two conferences play in the Holiday Bowl or something like that. So I think you kind of have something like that, but I do think it would be cool to have all 12 teams in one conference play all 12 teams in another conference. But one reason why I don't think they can do that is because you've got the Big Ten with 14 teams, and you have the SEC and the Pac-12, and they don't all really match up. So
I think it'd be cool. Even if it was just for 1 week, it'd be cool. But yeah, like some of these teams would have to swap years of playing like some FCS schools or some Group of 5 schools or something that week.
I think the idea is great. The execution could be kind of tough, but
Yeah.
the idea is all there.
I think it's cool. I think that'd be fun to see. Again, create the 64-team college football playoff bracket of death.
How about this?
Remove it to a 7 or 8 week college football season.
How about this? Here we go. I just thought of this. This is a terrible idea. What if, starting next season, you take the final results from this year and do a 16-week bracket down to 1 game?
No, you still have the 64-team bracket, but you do it March Madness style where they play on Thursday. If you win, you play another football game on Saturday, and then you have a week off.
that is awful.
That'd be fantastic. Sam Goodman wants to know which up-and-coming team, or it could be a team that's currently somewhere ranked in a certain area, do you think has the chance to become a national powerhouse in the near future? So now this can be a team you see being maybe a number 1 or number 2 team in the future, a team that maybe has the chance to be a consistent top 5, top 6, top 10 team moving forward in the near future. Or you can pick one that you just want to be a powerhouse.
Arizona State, I think, could legitimately compete regularly for Pac-12 titles and Rose Bowls and maybe even more, as long as Herm Edwards, number 1, stays at ASU, and number 2, keeps up what he's been doing at ASU. It's been 2 years. At 5-2 through 7 games, I think that's a lot of progress. I thought last year at 7-5 or whatever they were to end the regular season, I thought they were one of the best 7-5 teams I've seen in a long time. And I think they have potential to continue improving moving forward, especially with the way that they're recruiting, especially in California.
I'm going to stick in the Pac-12, and I'm going to say Utah. Now, I know they're at 12 right now. I know they were in the Pac-12 title game last year. And no, I don't agree with Lee Corso when he said I think they were going to be in the national championship this year. But down the road, I can see Utah being in the top 5 to 8. I mean, consistently with how good their defense is. If they get a couple more playmakers on the outside offensively, like receiver-wise, and a couple of offensive playmakers to really kind of generate that offense to more than what it is right now, I think Utah could compete for sure.
If you go back and look, if Blake cut to my camera as soon as he asked this question, I started throwing up pitchforks. I very well could see ASU. Josh pretty much hit it. The recruiting-wise they have in California, and they're getting into Texas, and they got some East Coast recruits coming in too. But man, do I want to see IU be a good football team. Man,
don't we all,
see
Brady?
be a good football team.
Don't we all wish we can see that? I like the ASU one. They've been doing well as of late, and they can keep this going. That's going to be something special. I really like Baylor because, we saw them earlier in this decade. They were, one of the better teams in the country. They had that kind of, debacle happen with the program a few years back. Then they only won 1 game. Now they're 7-0 on the season. Maybe that can jumpstart them moving forward. I'm going to stay in the state of Texas. SMU, I'm not saying they're going to be a powerhouse, but maybe they can kind of turn into like that Boise State Appalachian State team where all of a sudden now they're constantly winning 9 or 10 games on the season moving forward. And looking at this list, let's see.
You're the one who had the questions before, and you're the most ill-prepared for these questions.
Well, to be fair, the one I was going to say was Arizona State, but I didn't expect everyone to go with that. And then my next one was actually going to be Baylor. But I'm trying to look and see who potentially has the chance. Hey, Iowa State. This is they're having a really good stretch the last few years.
Mascot there
Maybe they can continue to ride this momentum. A final YouTube question right now. And I don't know if you guys saw this, but let me see if I can go. Where was his name? What happened to his name? This is going to go nameless. On a scale of 1 to 10, what would you rank Joe Burrow's butt?
What? Are we allowed to do this on college radio?
Did you guys not see what happened?
Yeah, I saw
when he was sacked.
Did you not see this, Lyle?
I don't know.
Oh, he was sacked, and his
really?
sandy cheeks, I guess you could say, were full exposed to this beautiful country of America.
Let's just say, I'm not going to give a ranking.
This comes from Oligarchy Aimbot.
I'm just going to say that Joe Burrow needs a little sun. That's all I'm going to say.
That's fair. I don't know if I can rate it.
No comment.
I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. A little pale, but the tone was there.
Got to get some sun.
Keep it up, Joe Burrow. Nice stuff. We're moving on now to our Twitter questions, and this first one comes from Andrew Coster, who I hope he's recovering well. He broke his jaw, so Andrew, if you're listening, hopefully you're in full recovery mode. But
Andrew will not be calling in this week.
So unfortunately, Andrew, we don't think you'll be able to call in this week. Just keep resting there. But he wants to know, since Clemson can't control how good other ACC teams are, do they deserve as much criticism as they are receiving for playing a weak schedule, even though they also play 2 non-conference games against SC teams almost every season? Now, he has up who they've played in recent years. 2018, 2019, A&M and South Carolina. 2016, every year South Carolina, but 2016, 2017 was Auburn. 2015 was Notre Dame. And 2013, 2014 was Georgia. So every year at Clemson, they're going out and they're scheduling these tough opponents. Now, it's true they can't control that the ACC is one of the saddest conferences out there. But, I mean, should that be held against them?
I don't want to say that it... All right, well, look. First of all, I don't think you can compare their current schedule to that of games in the past. Yes, they played Texas A&M this year, and then I think that's the best team they're going to play this whole season, considering in 2 weeks they play Wofford. They play Wofford in a few weeks, and they've played...
Hey man, Wofford picked up a great NCAA
This
tournament
isn't March
win.
Madness. This isn't March Madness. Look, sure, they play South Carolina. I don't think South Carolina is that good. I mean, they're okay. Texas A&M's okay. But when you're playing, when you're beating North Carolina by a point, when you're playing Charlotte in week 4, when you're playing Wofford in like week 9, I'm not saying people should be hating on Clemson. I don't think Clemson deserves to get flack for how disappointing their conference is, but I don't think people should be talking up Clemson a lot when they really haven't played anybody. Now, I will be the first person to admit I think they're a top 4 team, but I do think we should be a little hesitant on comparing their current schedule to past schedules, and yeah, you know.
Yeah, like the 1-point win at UNC doesn't look great, but bottom line, like Clemson's still going to win all their games. They're going to win the ACC, and when it's all said and done, they're still going to be one of the top 4 teams. So, I mean, if fans want to knock on them, that's fine, and I get it because they've looked a little bit underwhelming this year. But when it's all said and done, it's about when they play these top teams, how they fare, and I don't think we're going to see that till January.
Yeah, that's what sucks about going third. They all got it.
You know, moving forward the rest of the show, guys, with these Q&A, BK's going first.
I'm going. He's
going
great.
first. Well, Brady, here's a great question for you. I'm going to change the subject so you can go first right here.
Cool.
And this comes from Caleb Rosenbaum, and he says, it's kind of like the same question we just talked about, but do you guys believe the team should be rewarded for tougher non-conferences schedules? Now, he says a la Oregon, or teams that play in easier conferences with easier schedules like Clemson. So, like, you know, is it, should they be rewarded like how Oregon gets, what was it, a couple, or 1 or 2, or however many points they lost to Auburn, but let's say they go the rest of the season undefeated, whereas Clemson,
your dream scenario,
you know, the scenario that's going to happen, or like Clemson where they have a cakewalk the rest of the way. Should a team that has a tougher schedule that might get the loss, should they be rewarded over them?
Well, a lot of these conferences you see, or a lot of these teams you see, their non-conference is 1 to 2 games, an actual strength non-conference team. A lot of them will play a lower level. An example, let's just say Sacramento State for prime example. Where'd I get that from? Who knows? So you look at these teams, I don't see why there's much reward going to these teams for playing a tougher non-conference when that's what they should be doing in the first place. So that's what you want to do. You want to compete at the highest level. Why are you going to get rewarded for scheduling another one that's not in your conference that you weren't going to play?
Well, now I know what it feels like to be BK because he really wrapped it up pretty well.
Well done, BK.
Thank you.
Well done.
But yeah, I mean, like, the only thing about scheduling some of these teams is, yeah, you can schedule whoever you want. You can schedule a Michigan if you're somebody outside the Big Ten, but then Michigan could finish with 4 to 5 losses, and all of a sudden it doesn't look great. So it's all just so dependent on how everybody plays and fares for the course of 12 games.
Yeah.
This feels weird going in this order. I kind of don't like it.
Same.
I'm still second.
Yeah, what did you complain for?
Yeah, actually, I don't know.
All right, our next question comes from Connor Turner, 29. This is kind of a fun one, guys, so put on your thinking caps.
I left mine at home.
Oh, that's unfortunate, Brady. Maybe the intern can go get it for you if we have enough time. If any of you could own a game-worn jersey from any era, what game and what player would the jersey be from? As Brady puts on
I got my thinking cap.
Is that your thinking hat?
Yeah, it's my thinking cap.
Well, Brady, who you got?
I'm going first again?
Yeah. For the last time.
For the last time. I feel like oh man. Who would I want? Like just all time or like who
All
I
time,
would want or
any
whatever?
game, or you could just be a player, what jersey you'd want, but if
I feel
there's
like
a game...
Archie Griffin would be really cool. 2-time Heisman winner. Why not? That'd be super cool to have.
I'll go with Tim Brown, the year he won the Heisman.
I think Reggie would be cool just because for the longest, after the whole thing happened at USC, even me personally, along with a lot of other USC fans when I was growing up, didn't really care for Reggie very much. And for the last 5 years, I've loved Reggie. So I think that would be cool. But you know what? I think a Desmond Howard game-worn jersey from the game where he gave the famous Heisman pose.
Ooh.
That was the first one that popped into my head, was Howard's jersey.
I got one more. I don't remember who they played, but the Tim Tebow, the white Florida jersey that was just completely stained from the field.
Mm-hmm.
That would be cool too.
Now, I guess I meant something wrong because I just got a text from Andrew saying, I almost broke my jaw, Blake. So I guess Andrew didn't, in fact, break his jaw. So I'll have to go back and reread the message. But I guess Andrew is fine. He did, in fact, break his jaw, guys.
How do you mess that up, Blake?
Well, just such a busy man. Sometimes I just misread things.
Blake edits the show. And
That is true. That is
the
true.
show.
Now, although this is, one of the worst moments in my younger childhood life, I think it would be cool to have somewhere in my my man cave framed the jersey of Vince Young from the day he broke my childhood. Now, I know it was an awful
Bye,
memory,
Josh.
but that's still one of the greatest performances in college football history as he leaves. One of the greatest games in college football history. And I think it'd be more sentimental because I myself remember that game. It just left such an impact on my life, and like I said, at the time it was bad, but I can appreciate and respect the game it was back then. So I'd have to go with that one as Josh is gone MIA. Lyle, I guess it's officially the Harris Highlights and Lyle Goldstein show, and Brady's saying to keep going.
What about me?
What about you? You already gave an answer. Oh, and the Brady Clean show.
There you go. All right, let's go.
All right, let's see if we got any, because there's one question that I wanted to save for last, but unfortunately, Josh already read it because he liked one of the tweets, so he already knows what exactly it is. So hopefully Josh can come back in studio so I can read this one. If not, I'm going to ask another question while I wait for Josh. Hopefully he comes back soon. So this next question comes from Johnny Barrow. Who is the greatest college football team that never won the Natty? Now that's kind of broad. That's kind of, you have to go back a while. So I'm going to change it to in your lifetime, guys. So what in your lifetime was a team that didn't win the national championship that you thought easily could have, you're somehow shocked, didn't win? And no, Lyle, the 2012 Notre Dame team doesn't count.
That Alabama team, our freshman year, so the 2016 season, was really, really good. And I thought they were so close to winning that national championship. And then Deshaun Watson to Hunter Renfrow happened. Them or Cam Newton's Auburn team?
You know what? I really
Didn't Cam Newton's Auburn team win the
know-
national
sorry.
championship?
Sorry.
Yeah.
Who?
The Oregon team.
No,
that
no,
they
no.
played.
Who's
team,
no,
the
hang on.
team that never won a national championship.
Josh.
That was clearly the best team to never win a national championship. Blake is the 2005 USC football team that lost to Vince Young.
Yeah.
Okay, to clarify what I was trying to say here. When Florida State and Jameis won the national championship, was that... Okay,
Oh, that Auburn team.
Yeah, sorry. That wasn't Cam Newton. Sorry, that was with Trey Mason and all that. Yeah, that was with Trey Mason. So the Trey Mason Auburn team that didn't win yet. Cam Newton won.
Let's get Josh back in here. Josh, I know what I said upset you, but I guess that'd be a cool
2005 USC football team was the best team that never won a national championship.
I think I might have to agree with you on that one.
Is that what you were going to say?
That was the basic one right there.
I'd say Bama from last year too.
Yeah, they were really
That's
good.
true.
Now, Lyle, going back to that game, the quarterback for Auburn, would you
Nick
like...
Marshall?
Oh, there you go.
Okay,
I guess,
yeah.
Did you look it up?
No, I didn't. I think the name came out wrong. I know. Cam Newton won an Natty.
Speaking of those guys, I really hope that Trey Mason has been found. Because remember, there's a thing a year ago where no one knew where he was. So hopefully Trey Mason's been found.
No.
Also, I'm watching the Clippers game right now, and they just cut to Paul George on the sideline. He's wearing a tuxedo.
Okay, have you seen NBA fashion? Have you seen Russell Westbrook?
But
A tuxedo is like normal.
I've
for
never
the
seen
NBA.
I've never seen a player wear a tuxedo on the sideline before.
Maybe he's going to prom.
This is our final question, guys. It's not really a question. It's kind of more of just a statement. I've been saying this. Josh, I know you kind of already saw it, unfortunately, because you liked the tweet.
I didn't know he was going to at me in it.
So he did at
you
you.
told me to stay away from our Twitter account, so
Brady,
I did.
Or I think Brady's already read it.
I saw it.
Well, I'm just going to say it in it because Donnie T, who's just coming for Lyle, or like coming for all of us, he wants to know who would win an all-out Harris Highlights brawl. So before we answer that, he went and answered it for himself, which he then picked Lyle as his Goldstein heritage shows and his former Jewish powers come into display. He will then, whatever that means, his Jewish powers. But unfortunately, Lyle does not have Jewish powers anymore, Donnie T. So I don't think Lyle could win anymore. So how about his non-dairy powers?
Oh my goodness!
His non-dairy powers will come into effect. Brady is a fuzzy bear who is soft and cuddly. He's like one of those from Build-A-Bear Workshop,
You must
which
not have been
he
punched
then ends with, he would get trounced.
I love
They
that
think
word.
that is funny.
Blake,
I love
here we go.
I love the word trounced.
Blake stands a chance with his old man knowledge and time travel capabilities, as he's currently a 42-year-old. Someone, Steve Carell played this character in a movie at the age of 40, who has been to a place where you go when you're just addicted to something 4 times while living in a 21-year-old body attending college. Now, I am 23, so, wow.
You're 23?
I'm 23. I don't even know how.
This account is absolutely somebody we
Donnie
know.
T. And then meanwhile, we finish with Josh, who doesn't really go in on Josh. He's kind of very nice. I guess this. Well, actually, no, he didn't go in on Josh. That was Lyle earlier. Josh's smartness leads him to making good and quick decisions. I have to say, Josh is the most underrated yet interesting pick in an all-out Harris Highlights brawl. I bet he would sling some Harry Potter spells every now and then.
Expecto Patronum.
Hey, bronze over brains.
Man, what?
Really?
Can I
Dude,
just say
had
something?
Harry Potter spells, Lyle. Harry Potter spells.
Josh, Lyle is a gunslinger.
That's
so
true.
he's going to win everything.
Oh, like the Oklahoma State
Oh,
Cowboy
yeah.
Pistol
Yeah.
Pete? Nope.
Let me just say this. All you got to do to take down Blake is give him a little smack in the stomach. Super easy. I do it every day.
Yep.
Josh, I feel like I could snap in half. You're small.
Whoa! I weigh more than that one Quinnipiac hockey player I was
Yeah,
telling
and
you
you weigh
guys
just
about.
as much as Jose Altuve.
Yeah.
Lyle, it'd come down to Lyle, and he's scrappy, but I think, I'm just bigger than everybody.
That's true.
That's all I got to say.
You're not
all I
Sparky.
I'm not Sparky.
You're not Sparky.
So Donnie T, what a great question. The fact he went in detail, that's fantastic. But guys, I would beat all of you down, so that's not important. It's time to move now to our pick'ems. So Brady, cue up that music while I read our. Well, there it is. Wow,
Bum, 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 bum.
I love this music. Fantastic. Moving on to our college pick'em ESPN group, which guys, it's officially too late, I think, unfortunately. But we do have someone new in the lead. He was in the lead a few weeks ago, and it's Jim Softball.
Love softball.
Great name.
Jim Softball. He's got 61 total points. In second place, we have T. Whitford Gator with 60. And then we have a 4-way tie with 59 points. So this is going to come down to it's going to be a photo finish, guys. So Jim Softball, way to go. But now it's time to move into our official Pick'em rankings. Now, unfortunately, I need to go to my other document here because my other stuff didn't really load in there. So just give me one second here, guys. Wait, no, that's my cover letter, not that. Josh,
Cover letter.
how's it going over there, bud?
It's going well. I too am watching what I will refer to as the Lakers game. It's fun. I don't know what's going on with the Clippers court.
I'm not a fan of it.
I like it.
I like the
if it was not the Clippers,
Oh.
because it doesn't, and that's not like I
Right.
dislike the Clippers. It just doesn't look like the Clippers.
But
to me.
you must say though, under the basket where it has all that stuff, the fact that it's like the LA street maps design,
That's cool.
pretty cool. But
It's
I
cool.
don't. The Clippers are red, white, and blue. Why they have an all black court?
It's very Brooklyn Nets of them.
and the fact that they're wearing the blue jerseys makes it look
makes
Yeah.
no sense.
So Clippers court, I'm not a huge fan of it, but I do have the updated pick 'em
The Pacers don't
scores.
play until Wednesday.
Well done, Brady. I got the top 4 ready to go. In fourth place, as the music just cuts.
It's easier to hear the breaking news sound effect.
Okay,
like this.
as it cuts off. In fourth place with 57 points is Lyle.
Whoa!
Ahead of myself.
Blake
My
had a
goodness.
good week.
Nice week this past week, because in third place is me.
All right, good for you, Blake. Look at the
And
comeback.
Thank you. It's slow. A little points here and there. A few points here and there.
Now, Brady was in first place by 1 point last week, right?
Correct.
Let's see.
In second place with 64 points is Josh.
Oh, man.
And in first place with 68 points is Brady.
Hey guys, thank you. We love you, man. Go Tigers.
So Brady has just decided to just go on an amazing streak. He's going to be tough to catch. But we have I think we have 15 games for this upcoming week. We got 15 minutes.
I did it again.
It happens to the best. So we got essentially 1 minute a game, but some of these may not need a minute. But hey, we'll have to wait and see. Let's get things started with Miami at Pittsburgh.
Well, guys,
Florida, Miami, Florida.
yes, Miami.
Yes, not the Miami, Ohio. Correct.
Miami is going to have the same amount of wins over Pitt this season as they had made field goals last week, which was none. I've got Pitt.
Yeah, I Pitt too. I think I picked against them last week, so I'm going with them this week.
Pitt at Heinz Field, the land of ketchup.
I love ketchup
We know.
so much. I was the only person that picked Pitt last week to win, and they won, so that helped me get a bonus point. I'm going to stick with Pitt in this one. Illinois at Purdue. Can Rondell Moore come back?
Will lightning strike twice for Josh Imatter-Bebe and the Illinois Fighting Illini? No, I got Purdue.
I got Purdue.
David Bell, a freshman from Indianapolis, Indiana. Fill in that slot with Rondell Moore. I'm going to go with Purdue.
Yeah, hey, if only I can get the job done, Lovie Smith, fantastic, but I don't think you can. I'm going to go with the Boilermakers in this one. Number 6, Penn State at Michigan State.
I don't know what's going on with Michigan State. I think they're going to compete with everybody else in the Big Ten this year, but I don't know. I've got State, Penn, number 6.
I got Penn State. I think they handle Michigan State.
Hashtag number 6, Penn State.
Penn State, surprisingly, is only a 6.5 point favorite in this game. I feel like that's too low. I don't think Michigan State's that good, so I'm going to go with Penn State to get the win in this one. Number 15, Texas at TCU.
Texas is not back, but they'll get the win over TCU on the road, and then Texas will be back when they go back to Austin after the game.
I'm going to say Texas by 10. A lot of points scored.
Remember a couple years ago I went on that whole TCU run? Remember that?
Yes, I
I
do.
do.
Horned Frogs down, horns up. Texas.
Oh, that was cute.
Texas. Hey, thanks, pal.
I
That's
missed
cute.
that. I missed that whole TCU
Yeah.
thing. I forgot about that. I think that was last year.
Molten
Or maybe it
Spade
was
for
2
Heisman.
years ago.
That was last year.
Now this one, I'm sticking on the topic of spreads. This one's actually very shocking to me. Texas is only a 1.5 point favorite in this one. Now they are on the road, but is that Kansas game really hurting them that much? I think Texas wins this game. I think they win by double digits. But these Vegas guys, they know something we don't. Oklahoma State at number 23, Iowa State. The battle of Pistol Pete versus the Cyclone. It's finally here.
We go. This is a tough one, not only because it's the Big 12 and two pretty good offenses, but I just think they're fairly evenly matched. I don't know if I'm super sold on Iowa State, but because they're at home, because they're the Cyclones, I'm taking them over Pistol Pete and the Cowboys.
Oh, if this was a mascot battle, it would take me about negative seconds to make this pick. But it's not. It's a game. I got Iowa State.
Iowa State, not even close.
I got Iowa State as well. I think it's a cop-out that Lyle. I think Lyle should be forced to pick Oklahoma State.
Agreed.
I think he has to back Pistol Pete. Lyle, but I'm the one that does the graphics for the pick'em, so I'm going to give you Oklahoma State in this one. Sorry, dog.
You're going to hear me say Iowa State.
Well,
though.
that's fantastic, but I base the points off of what photo I see.
Wait,
Here's what
who's
he's gonna
Iowa
do,
State
Lyle.
playing this week?
They're playing a team from the state of Oklahoma.
Just cut that and put it over.
State of Oklahoma. You just cut
Yes.
Oklahoma State. Easy.
It'll just be one of those bad voiceovers like Oklahoma's. It'll make sense when you watch this. Virginia at Louisville.
I got Virginia on the road. I've been really disappointed with the with starting Bryce Perkins in our other fantasy league the last few weeks, and it just hasn't really worked out for me. But I think he's back, and especially I think he, unlike Texas, is going to be back to his old ways, playing against Louisville on the road.
Yeah, Louisville struggled against Clemson last week, and I don't think they struggled that badly against Virginia, but I think Virginia handles them, Cavaliers.
I'm going Louisville at home.
I thought I was going to be the only one, but I do like Louisville. I mean, they've been kind of a sneaky team this year. They were hanging around with Clemson. Lyle and I were watching that game, and Louisville was just making some... they lost the game. They had some turnovers. They were within range of Trevor Lawrence. They couldn't get the job done. So I think Louisville, they can get the job in this one. And they're at home at the no longer Papa John's stadium there.
Good.
Yeesh. It's okay. Papa John's is awful pizza anyway. Indiana at Nebraska.
That it is, Blake. That it is.
Thank you.
We got two teams here. One of them is about as good as I thought they were going to be. The other one is not nearly as good as I thought they were going to be. It's close. I've got Nebraska by a field goal. At home.
I'm going the Indiana Hoosiers. Shout out to you, BK. Because, you know why?
Why, Lyle?
Because why not?
You know, we didn't have them for 7 weeks, and now we have them 2 weeks in a row. They won last week. They're going to win again this week and become bowl eligible already.
Yay.
Indiana Hoosiers, baby. Let's go.
Are they 5-2?
5-2.
Wow, Indiana. Are we sleeping on the Hoosiers in the Big Ten?
Nope.
Yeah, probably not. I'm going to go with Nebraska.
I can't wait till we play in the Red Box Bowl.
Oh, yes.
Or the Pinstripe Bowl.
Yes.
Yeah.
Red Box Bowl against ASU?
Hey, dude, I'd love that.
Eastern Michigan at Toledo.
I've got Toledo at home. They've got a couple of decent wins this year. I mean, they beat BYU. Who else? They beat somebody else, too. I'll look up to confirm who it was. I had it up earlier. But I've got Toledo at home. I don't think Eastern Michigan's going to hang with them. Oh, their one loss up to this point was Kentucky. So I'll take that. They beat BYU at home, and I think they're going to beat Eastern Michigan at home. Toledo, they have 2 losses.
Toledo
they lost
to
Ball
State 52-14.
Yeah, they lost to Ball State last week, but I think I'm going to take them at home again.
I'm going to go Eastern Michigan on the road.
I'm going to take Toledo because why, Lyle? Because
why
Because
not?
they're playing at home.
Yeah, the home field advantage. Go football
Now,
team.
luckily, this game's not at Eastern Michigan, so you don't have to, rub your eyes out when you're watching the game on TV because it's the worst field in all of college football. But I am going to go with
That's
the Eagles.
Western Michigan, isn't it?
No, it's Eastern
No.
Michigan.
Oh, were they the gray field?
Yeah, the gray field. I'm going to go with the Eagles. I think are they just the Eagles, or are they like the green Eagles? Something Eagles. I know Brady will get me that in about 5 or so seconds. But while he does, Utah State at Air Force.
Eagles.
Just Eagles? All
Straight
right.
up.
So, Air Force has been pretty good this year. They lost to Army. They beat up on mighty Colgate. They beat Colorado. But I think Utah State might be the second best football team in the state of Utah this year. I'm taking Utah State on the road at Air Force to get the win. I like the offense.
I'm going Air Force at home. They've been pretty solid this year.
Air Force, games at altitude, and I don't want to pick against the military.
You can't do that, but I can. So I'm going to go with the Ags in this one. I'm surprised that didn't even come out of your mouth yet, Josh, because whenever there's an Aggies team, you always say go Ags.
Yeah, I kind of forgot.
Not this time.
I don't know. We'll see. Where's the UC Davis pick'em, Blake?
I can add it.
Good.
I don't even know who they play, so Josh can host that one whenever we get to it at the end. Now this is the best game of the year for college basketball. College football-wise, it's not, but we're going to have it anyway. Duke at North Carolina.
Duke is a no from me, dog. I'm taking North Carolina. I don't know why. I mean, they lost to Clemson by 1. I don't think they're a bad team. I just don't think they're very good. But I don't think Duke's very good either. And you know what? On the basketball court, yeah, I'm taking North Carolina because I typically do on the hardwood too.
I'm going with Sam Howell and the Tar Heels at home.
Josh, the greatest fantasy pick you've ever done. Killed me inside.
Yep.
The final pick.
Final pick. Second to last pick.
Oh,
'cause
second
I had
last
the
pick, because you had the final pick. That's
Yeah.
correct.
But I'm going to stick with North Carolina. I'm going with the Tar Heels. I think they're going to win here. Jeffrey Saturday, man. They're killing.
Hey, he doesn't have any drops this year.
He doesn't have any.
I'm going to go with North Carolina. Let's get to some juicy games, guys. Number 8, Notre Dame at number 19, Michigan.
Close one. Again, like I said earlier, I think Michigan is going to compete in every game they play in. I think every game from now on, including Ohio State, is a winnable game for Michigan. I just don't think they're going to win many of these tough games. I've got Notre Dame on the road by 3.
This will be the second toughest game the Irish play this year. They lost the first one. Second one, they come up with a win. Irish in a low-scoring contest.
I'm going Irish by 9, and there are no more than 30 combined points scored. Do the math.
This is currently a pick'em. Yes, I know it's a pick'em, but according to betting wise, it's actually a pick'em. It's a pick'em.
It's a straight even game.
It's a straight even game. It's at the big house. Notre Dame's going to win this game, but I have to ride this out. I'm going down with the ship. I'm taking the Wolverines in this game.
Just throw your credibility out the window.
It's fine.
Notre Dame's going to win. Michigan.
Notre Dame's going to win the game, but for pick-wise, I'm just going to go with
Michigan will win the battle.
They'll win the battle. And my heart's going to be broken yet again. Number 9, Auburn at number 2, LSU.
All right, so let's see if LSU's the real deal, because Auburn has not looked good since that really bad loss a few weeks ago. I think LSU's the real deal. They're playing at home. Offense is rolling. Defense looks stout. I'm taking the Tigers, the LSU Tigers, in Death Valley.
I know this is a top 10 matchup, but I think LSU is just that much better. I think LSU handles Auburn. I'm going to go Tigers by 13. LSU Tigers, that is.
Hey, guys, thank you. We love you, man. Go Tigers.
How could I not? Come on, people. LSU.
I think the Tigers win this game, and I think the Tigers will also lose this game. But I do like the LSU Tigers just a bit more. Number 13, Wisconsin at number 3, Ohio State.
Man, I kind of want to see Wisconsin win.
Then pick 'em.
Just so we get chaos. It's about who you think is going to win, Blake, not who you want to win. I want to see them win because I'm not saying I want to see Ohio State left out of the playoff. I just want chaos in the Big Ten. I'm taking Ohio State at home in a close one. I think it's a good game. I think it takes until the second half for somebody to put more than 10 points on the board.
Ohio State is a really, really good team, and you know what? Hangovers after losses for some of these teams are real, and I think Wisconsin's going to be I think Wisconsin's going to have that going into this weekend, and for that reason, I got Ohio State.
OHIO. I'm going Ohio State at home.
It'll be exciting to see Ohio State going against a good defense for once this season, but I still think they're going to win. I mean, the spread here is 14.5. I think they can win by 2 to 3 touchdowns. Lyle mentioned the hangover perfectly. I think Wisconsin's going to come into this game, and it's not going to be pretty, so I'm going to go with Ohio State, which brings us to arguably the absolute worst of the worst game of the year.
True.
1-win UConn at 1-win UMass, a battle of the U's. Unfortunately, someone has to win this game. It's just how rules work, so...
True.
Who's going to do it?
UConn versus UMass, the two teams that you don't care about, and I don't care about them either. However, I've been to Massachusetts.
Me
and
too.
I've never been to Connecticut, so I'm taking the Minutemen.
What part of Massachusetts?
Boston area and Cape Cod.
Oh, cool.
Oh, that's right.
Yes.
So let's see. UConn and UMass. U and C, and then U and M. Well, they say first is the worst, second is the best, and M comes after C, so UMass.
Great reasoning there. You know, one is a dog. Blake, you love dogs.
I love dogs.
And
I'm a
the
huge
other
dog
one
guy.
are the Minutemen, and you're also a Minuteman yourself. So I'm going to go with the dogs because I like dogs too. UConn.
You know, I was going to be the reasoning. What's going to win? A Husky or a Minuteman? Or Minutemen? Obviously some cute Huskies. I'm going to go with UConn in this one, which brings us to our final game. Number 24, Arizona State at UCLA. ASU's only a 4-point favorite.
That's absurd.
Yes.
That's absurd.
My uncle's going to Vegas this weekend, and he said that's his one pick.
I thought you were going to say he was going to come to the game.
I know.
Now, you're going, correct?
I'm pretty sure I am. I hope I am.
We've been waiting to find out if you are. I think our entire friend group here is going there. I believe there's going to be about 18 people maybe making this trip, including people that aren't even going with us.
Are we all staying at Blake's house?
Yes.
We'll see.
Cool. Lyle's calling the game right here on Blaze Radio with our sports director, Scotty Gange. Brady will be covering the game. A couple of my roommates are covering the game, and a bunch of us are going as fans. And I think we're all going to go to this game. We're going to see ASU beat UCLA by at least 17 points.
All right, well, I'll do what I did for Michigan State and kind of throw up the X with this one since I'm on the call. But
Lyle knows ASU's going to win. I'll put the little graphic for him.
What does you making a prediction now have anything to do with the call, which has anything to do with the game?
Well, it's just a credibility
It's a
thing.
predetermined narrative and it's credibility.
Don't worry, BK. When you call the football game in a few weeks, you can make a pick.
Yeah, because I'm an ethical journalist.
Sure.
ASU.
We all are.
I'm going Sun Devils, baby.
I'm going to
This is
go
gonna be a good one.
ASU as well for that one. But that does wrap up this week's show of the Harris Highlight Show with some exciting news, guys. I didn't share this earlier in the show. Next week is going to be our first ever Halloween-themed episode. All four of us have our costume ideas, but I want you guys in the comments to guess what the four of us are going to be going as. They're already set.
They're all college football themed.
And they're all clean.
They're all college football themed, so make a guess in the comments what they're going to be. Hit us up on Twitter at the HH Show _. Listen live next week on BlazeRadioOnline.com at 10 p.m. Eastern. For Josh Schaefer, Lyle Goldstein, and Brady Klein, this has been Blake Harris from the Bill Austin Radio Studio, the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism in beautiful downtown Phoenix. If you can guess what Clipper player this is, extra bonus points to you, and we will see you guys next week.